Well, hello and good morning. Welcome to my channel, Watch Your Mouth Reviews. This is your boy James, and I'm here to give my honest review while trying to watch my mouth. Not gonna happen in this video, but that's all right. Joining me as always is my special co-host, Mrs. Beth. I'll say what's up to her.
Good morning. I told y'all he would be back on Saturday. The people
Yes,
was
she
on my
did.
channel concerned. I said he's still alive.
Yes, y'all had to pick up a little seasonal, so I'm working nights, and yes, I don't have time during the week anymore, but we will figure out something, and I'll be back shortly. It's not going to be forever that I'll be gone during the week, but for right now, because I got to get this money up, because life is life, and times is hard. We got to make sure we make a little extra. But make sure you guys subscribe to Mrs. Best's channel. Any reviews or recaps that I do not do on my channel, Mrs. Best does on her channel, such as Love and Hip Hop. We'll have Real Housewives of Beverly Hills soon. Basketball Wives, whenever that decides to come back, and Real Housewives of Miami, whenever that decides to premiere.
I
Because
hope Basketball Wives does not decide to come back in its moment of decision making. That's all.
well, there you have it. But if you're in this live today, we were talking about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. The episode was called Whitney Drew and Her Clues. This is the recap and review, y'all. This was a really good episode. I must say, for it not to be so heavy in the drama, there's a lot of things, a lot of great topics that we can talk about, y'all, and I'm really excited. So the episode actually opens up with, a montage of the ladies in their scenes, but we focus more on Bronwyn and Lisa. They meet up and go to a spa, and apparently, what we don't know is that on their flight back from Milwaukee, Lisa and Bronwyn were stuck together on a connecting flight, and they were having a conversation. And in the midst of the conversation, Lisa maybe had said something funny, and Bronwyn made a face, and Lisa said, "Oh my God, you look just like Gwen." And Bronwyn, which is Gwen is Bronwyn's daughter, if anyone's confused about that. And Bronwyn has never been told that Gwen looks like her. Gwen looks like her father. And so Bronwyn shows Lisa a random picture she had of him. And Lisa says, "I know him and I know his family really well." And that kind of took Bronwyn by surprise, because there's a whole backstory that we're about to get into when it comes to Bronwyn, Gwen, and the father. So, from what we understand, is that Bronwyn, in her second semester of BYU, ended up getting pregnant. So, when the boy brought her home to his family and explained that he has gotten her pregnant, the family wasn't on board. And from what we understand, they are Mormons. Mormons, believe in being married first and having children, whatever that hoopla is. And they pretty much told Bronwyn, you need to hide this. You need to go study abroad and, have the baby, give it up for adoption, and come back and act like nothing's happened. And Bronwyn wasn't with that. Bronwyn was like, "No, I'm going to have my baby." And so the guy chose his family and pretty much left Bronwyn out there to fend for this baby by herself. Now, what we learned later on in this conversation is that the father of the child ended up passing away when the baby was about 2 years old. So Bronwyn had to, get a job in her finance job and, raise this baby up until she met her current husband. And Lisa says that, from their flight, she has reached out to the family, and the family says that, it's time that they meet Gwen. Mrs. Best, how did you feel for Bronwyn in this time and in this, scene of the episode?
I think it made her more relatable and solidified her as one of the best casting choices that this show has made since its creation. I think that
Absolutely.
you
Mhm.
can, there's a, so people watch Housewives because you want to see people like rich people having fun, being goofy, all these things, whatever. But at the same time, you want to also see that people are relatable. And yes, there can be a difference in socioeconomic status between people, but there can also be similarities as well. And there are things that can make them relatable. You know how many people, especially in America, where this episode aired specifically, you know how many people had kids young, you know how many women of all races and backgrounds, income levels, lifestyles, religious beliefs end up pregnant at a time that was not the best time for them to become pregnant, or they ended up pregnant in a situation where they had parents that wouldn't support it. And then you also hear about the dad not wanting nothing to do with it. It's to me, it just made Bronwyn relatable. And I looked at Lisa kind of I think that Lisa will respect stuff when it's real, if that makes sense. If it's something that's genuine, I feel like Lisa will respect it and leave her shenanigans to the side. So she did not make it about her, which is rare. But yeah, I actually now I like Bronwyn a lot. I was unsure about her at first because she led with all the, the outfits, the labels, the price tags, but she's fair with the group. She defends herself appropriately, and now she's been real and forthright and relatable. So yeah, I like
I
that.
100% agree with that. And this was a real genuine moment for Lisa because, as Lisa said, she has history with the family. And I think she really was trying to do a good deed, which was trying to merge the relationship between the family and, the daughter, which, once we get to the middle of this episode, we'll understand is short lived. But I could appreciate Lisa hearing her out and actually being, a voice to say, hey, I can reach out to them and say, hey, you have this granddaughter that you would need to know, and kind of go forward from there. But that was a horrible story nonetheless, because I just couldn't imagine, coming to a family and then saying, hey, we expecting this baby, and then they get shunned because it ruins, because it sounds like it's image conscious regardless of that religion. It does. It sounds like it's image conscious. It sounds like it's more so like, oh my gosh, like you had a baby, we didn't plan for this wedding, you're not doing it the biblical way, which should show y'all that, we're human beings. We're not supposed to be on this earth to be perfect. Like, we're not. And it broke my heart for her because you could tell she was scared. She was confused. You could tell probably at that time she didn't really know what to do, but she knew the right thing was to still raise her daughter. So I commend Brahman for that. And, this was a really good opening. I really did appreciate this, Anything else
But
you want to
shame on them parents. I know that man is gone, but shame on him. There's no excuse in the world, in my opinion, to walk away from your child. Unless you are like in rehab and just on drugs and not in a space where they can see you healthily, but you just walked away from that child because of what your parents wanted. Shame on the grandparents, shame on that man. If you don't want to have a baby, bro, wear a condom. That's all I'm saying. So yeah. All right, I'll be quiet now.
No, you're good, because that was a really good point to make. But that was pretty much what happened with that. So we move on later in the scene. We have um, Whitney driving up to meet up with Brittany and Heather, and they're going skiing, on their little function. And then we have Mary and Angie meeting up. But before Angie gets to Mary's house, Mary goes and checks on her son, and she's calling him. Mary has, this brand museum of a home because it is huge. So she walks on over, and we have Robert Jr.'s name on at the ceiling of his door.
Like
She's
he's
like,
a damn 7-year-old.
right. I was like, oh, Mary, come on now. But she's calling his name. He comes out the room stumbling, eyes is glossy. He looked like he just woke up from a nap, one of those naps, if y'all know what I mean. And she goes, are you okay? I'm about to leave to go in this dance class. And he was like, well, Mom, can I get a little money? And she said, well, what's the money going to be used for? Mama, I'm gonna get something to eat, and you could tell he was under the influence. Unfortunately, that is so embarrassing. And I must commend Mary; she kept it together, because you could tell she wanted to go off. Like, you could tell she was like, these cameras is in this house. Why would you want to do that? And she's also taking a delicate approach. Hi, Naya. Thank you for joining us this morning, love. And she's taking a very delicate approach to, whatever he could be going on, which is what a lot of parents should do. Like, I'm not saying aid and abet, like, his habits, but I'm saying, like, you don't isolate him and make him run off, and then you can't find him anymore. So that's what Mary's taking approach. And she goes, okay, well, your body is like a plant. You have to make sure you nourish it, because if you don't, what happens? And he goes, it'll die. And she goes, exactly. So he says, I love you, Mom. And then he goes back and lays down, and she goes, bless him, Lord. Like, she was just really just like trying to, not go off on the hinge. But that was really sad to watch. I hope whatever's going on with him, I hope he gets, the help that he needs. There is a blog that wrote that he is in rehab, allegedly. So we're hoping that he is, or we're hoping
Where is
that
his wife? Where is he getting these drugs from? And Mary, if you know that your son's in an iffy place, why call him out? I would respect her for keeping him off camera, but it was clear that boy was lit. I really hope he's in rehab. That's what I will say. I really hope he's in rehab.
So Mary did an interview with ET, and she said that he's not legally married. He's still with the girl, but he's not legally married to her. She went and did the research and said that he's not legally married, and she doesn't like the girl. So there's something about this situation now that she said that on ET when I looked at that interview that there may be something more to this that involves that girl. And Mary just doesn't want to speak
Probably
on it.
getting high with him.
Probably. That would make sense to me. It really would. So Angie comes and picks up Mary in her Ferrari, which was funny because as soon as Mary got in that car, she goes, "It smells like onions in here. You had onions?" And she goes, "No, I haven't had no onions." And I was laughing so hard because I was like, you don't get in somebody else's car and just be like, thank you. You just be polite and be like, "Ooh," and your mind say, "Damn, girl, you put on deodorant? Like, what's going on here?" I was laughing so hard, but they go to the little dance studio. And once they get there, we're seeing Heather's daughter, Georgia. Georgia's there. She immediately hugs Angie, and Mary waves hello to her, and they doing the dance class. And I must say, Mary wasn't really trying, but she wasn't off key though. She was definitely, getting the moves. I was like, go ahead, Mary. I'm here for this. How'd you feel about the little dancing they were doing?
It was cute. It's always funny to see a bunch of white people being taught hip hop. I'm sorry. It's always funny to watch, but I thought the dance class was cute. It's a good way to lose weight, a fun way to lose weight.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I was cracking up though at Mary. Mary was keeping up.
She was. I was like, go ahead, Mary. She's doing the 1, 2 step. I was like, okay, Mary, I ain't mad at you. So we pause on their scene and we go back over to the ski trip with Brittany, Heather, and Whitney. And Brittany brings up, y'all, this is where the cussing is going to happen. This is where I'm not going to watch my mouth. So sorry. But yes, Naya, it really was. So Brittany was like, I came home to roses from my favorite florist and a bunch of treats. I came home to a stuffed unicorn and a beautiful love note. And she goes, this is where I, have to take a second guess with Lisa because Lisa was being unreasonable with him. And I'm looking at Brittany like, I mean, God always says he's going to watch out for babies and fools. He did say that in his word because this is a damn fool right here. And so bringing up the topic of Lisa, Whitney is still upset about this Alibaba thing. And Heather lets it out the bag that Lisa told Meredith about it. And Whitney's like, Lisa told Meredith? And Heather said, yeah, Lisa told Meredith. Meredith told me. And then I told you. And so Whitney in her confession was like, now I have to second guess Lisa because I'm putting the brunt of it on Meredith. And I'm like, Whitney, this realistically, if there was nothing wrong here, this would be a big deal. You're going to have rumors at your business. Obviously, there has to be some part of it that has to be true because you wouldn't be this upset about this, about a rumor of your business. You're going to have bad Yelp reviews. You're going to have bad Google reviews.
Even Sheree from the Housewives of Atlanta posted her distributor and where she gets her clothes made. And that's how people linked her to having the same one as Shein.
Yes.
If you ain't doing nothing intentionally to plagiarize or steal the style or work of someone else, then what is the problem, Whitney?
That's
just
what we're all.
Tell us who your vendor is, who your distributor is, however it goes, because I'm not in that industry. Tell us who you work with, and then people will be able to connect the dots. But you're not doing that. You're madder at people for talking about it, spreading a rumor. Who gives a damn where the rumor came from? If anything, you should be online using your detective and whoever else these women have to look into stuff, as we saw for the last reunion with the Monica situation. Hire somebody to look into who is the originator of these posts and rumors about your business, and then be mad at them.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that because this is ridiculous. Like, this is not even worth like having a story over because it's like, come on, this is business. People use distributors and decide to sell it for whatever they want to sell it for. And if they're getting taken from the price, then that's fine. And if you want to make a profit off of the commerce price, then that's fine too. I don't understand what the big deal is. So we then flash back over to the dance class. The dance class is over. She sure is mad over the. Yeah, she is, and it's making it seem guilty. It is. It's making her look guilty because she's making this more than what it needs to be. Like those of us who understand business know what Whitney is talking about. Know that that does happen, as Mrs. Best described. Sheree posted the vendors of her clothing line, which is the same as Shein. We know how this works. A lot of people who don't have businesses or never taken business 101 at least won't really understand this. So that's why I'm like, Whitney, this is not a big deal, but she's making it way more. Oh, I didn't even see Naya's comment. Naya. Yes, she's healing. Absolutely, she is. She need to fire that therapist, whoever it is. Um, so the next thing we go back to is the dance class. The dance class is over. Georgia says her goodbyes to Angie and Mary, and they hang back a little bit. And Angie tells Mary that she's really upset with Lisa, with this whole Milwaukee thing at the table. And Mary's like, well, where is this coming from? And she goes, when you're not there for Lisa, she, wants to, pick on you and does everything. And Angie made a point. She's fallen out with every single cast member of this show, even ones we didn't even care about, like Jen Shaw, Angie Harrington, all of those friends that she's talking about. So it is a point. And Angie then says, then she comes after my mothering. And for those of you who don't know about Angie's background, Angie's mother had passed away when she was a little girl. And so she makes it a parent to always be there for her daughter whenever her daughter needs her, since she didn't have that same thing growing up. And I kind of feel like Angie's putting 20 on 10 because some of the things that you're there for and some of the habits that you and your daughter have are weird. But at the same time, if that's being there for, then it's being there for. Who am I to call out your parenting? But it is strange. But, Mary takes it in. She's just absorbing it and, trying to, see where the lines blur. Mary's one of the most smart ass people. Like she has like that old wise tale wisdom, like just listen, wait for them to fall on their own sword. Because whatever is going to come to light, it's going to come to light. And you can just sit back and say, hey, knew it all along. I love it. So is there anything you want to add with this whole Angie and Mary situation before we move on?
I'm just glad the producer showed the receipts to prove everything Angie said to be correct. That's
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I love. So then we move on to a scene with Heather and Lisa. And they're going in this tomb. I don't know what this is, but it has Himalayan salt at the ground, and they're supposed to have healing, calming. One thing about Salt Lake City, they're always doing something with healing and calming, and just very zen environments. If you have not noticed watching this show, it's like, okay, can we go somewhere else and do something else? I get this is supposed to do this, but it's very strange. Like it makes me want to look up, do I have any of these things in Phoenix? That way I can try to see what it really does. But they're having a conversation, and Heather says, I don't appreciate the things that Angie has said. And Lisa goes, well, what did she say? And she was like, she's talking about your parenting, how your son is playing video games to the wee hours of the night, and how she's not the kind of mom. And Lisa's like, oh my God, like I'm a good mother, and she's going to come after my parent. And mind you, at the beginning of this episode, we have a scene where Lisa's trying to get her son to go eat, and he's sitting there playing video games, ignoring her. So where is, once again, Bravo coming with the receipt? Where is the lie? And because they stress themselves out, all them rules and religion they need to pay. I guess. Okay, I guess. That's a good point, Naya. Thank you for that. I guess, because this shit was weird to me. But Lisa's like, that's a low blow. That's a dig. And we're like, so Lisa, even though it was a dig, I will agree with her. But I'm like, but Lisa, how can it be a dig when Bravo shows the receipts that you can't even get your son to eat because he on the video games and he's staring directly at the screen like he only 2 inches away?
Lisa, nothing would have been said about your parenting if you did not bring up this lady's daughter in an argument that had nothing to do with her underage daughter.
Exactly.
But now because So she came back and returned the energy, matched your energy. Now you crying wolf, girl.
Hmm. Absolutely. And let me get on Heather for a little bit because Heather pissed me off in this scene and in the last scene of this. But this is the first time I'm gonna get on Heather. Heather, you are so warranted to be up Lisa's ass that you sitting up there and throwing a friendship under the bus just so you can be in Lisa's good gracious, knowing that the moment you step out of bounds, Lisa's gonna tag that ass like you ain't never seen before. That is so you. I see why you and Brittany are friends. I can see it now. I see it very clearly because this was really ridiculous of you to go back and tell Lisa everything that Angie said, regardless if you didn't agree with it. Like Mrs. Best said, Lisa threw the first dagger. So if Angie wanted to get a machete and chop her head off, then she had every right to do so because it wouldn't have happened had Lisa not started that first. So for you to be all up Lisa's ass and running back and telling what Angie said, that really shows how desperate you are to be this lady's friend. It is just so ridiculous because, ma'am, you are almost 50 years old. Why are you doing this? Like, and this is the problem. They're too old to have minions. They're too old to have minions. They're like 5 years away from going into, being able to be in the retirement communities. Like, I'm so sick of it. I really am. I'm sick of Heather with this high school mentality. It is so ridiculous.
Heather is proof. No matter what you do at the end of the day, whether you use the Ozempic or get plastic surgery, there's not too much you could do to change your face. I'm just thinking of Mary's comment from a few seasons ago. I know people don't like it, but Heather needs to be quiet. She's got other things to focus on. Why can't she get a man? We are in what season of this show? I want to see Heather on a date with a man, even if he don't last. I want to see her with a little boo thing or a little sex friend, something.
I don't want to see Heather at all.
No, if she's going to be on this show, if they're going to keep her there and give her the privilege that we know that she's receiving, then at least keep her there and put her ass to work. Okay? I want to see her dating. And if she's not dating, then I want to see her doing her Ozempic shots on the show. I want to see something more. Because what she's doing right now, it's absolutely unacceptable. I just can't.
It is. And where me and Mrs. Best come from, the kind of actions that Heather's taking usually results in physical altercations. I've seen it happen. I mean, if you want to act like you in high school, trust me, high school antics will follow you. You lucky you in Salt Lake City, Heather. You really are, because I could see this going real left real quick on your behalf when everybody watched this footage back. Like, I really can. So that was pretty much that scene with them. I guess it's going to be Lisa versus Angie all season, and I'm not really here for it. I just really am not. The next thing we see is Brittany. I don't know why Bravo wanted to give Brittany a little segment since she's a friend of the show with this ignorance and this foolishness, but we have to talk about it, y'all. So here we are. So Brittany meets up with Jared Osman. We finally get to see him on camera. And the first thing they do is a little awkward hug where he hugs her and just closes his eyes. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be really weird. So they sit down, they order food, and he basically calls her out for, why is he getting text messages and voice notes from Lisa Barlow? Why is she reading our private conversations? And Brittany was like, well, Lisa was, just looking out for me because she doesn't understand the situation and, all of this. And he was like, well, Brittany, she can't do that. If we're in love, we're supposed to be, in this situation. You can't just exploit our personal conversations to, one of your friends and everything. And she goes, I know. Now, from this standpoint, I understand what he is saying, but I would understand it more if we were in a real relationship here. We're not in a real relationship as it's been discovered at this table. And Brittany's standpoint was, oh my God, yes, absolutely. Yes. Because this exactly exploited what we all have been talking about this whole entire conversation. And Brittany tells him, I need more. Like, you keep saying that we're best friends. And when she did this shit, I was like, oh no, get her off my camera. Get her off my camera. I can't do this. She goes, I need more. She tells him, when we're out in public, we can be holding hands. You'll see pretty women in there, and you'll drop my hand. He goes, well, we kiss in public, we hug in public, we hold hands and everything. And she's all like, but I need more. I need this to be public. And he's all like, I can only do what I can do. And she goes, okay, so there's my answer. And it was like, Brittany, so you mean to tell me, for however many years this has been going on, that you have been putting up with this, all for him to say, I can do what I can do, not giving you any stability that this is a relationship, not giving you any stability that he really does love you, even though he says it out of his mouth. That didn't seem like that seemed like a platonic love. That didn't seem like he was actually in love. So you're going around here, now you're on TV. The world is looking at you, looking at this man, as Naya said, completely gaslight you, and you still want to be with this man. I'm flabbergasted because there's no way. When I tell you that restaurant would have got redecorated so quick, you're not finna make no fool of me. I can make a bigger fool of me. Like, I'm sorry. There's no way. Oh, that conversation. I can't with Brittany, y'all. I can't. And she gonna piss me off again at the end of this episode. So this is best. So anything you want to add before I move on? Because Brittany finna make me cuss her out right now.
God will not allow me to waste much breath on this human being. And he loves all his children, and I have to respect that. So I'm going to decline commenting on whatever that was.
Yes, because it was really ridiculous. So they put a pin in their relationship, or lack thereof, because we can't call it a relationship. Unfortunately, we can call it some foolishness for the time being. So now we move over to Bronwyn. Bronwyn and her daughter are talking about Lisa reaching out to the grandparents, and bridging the communication so they can also try to meet their granddaughter. And so when Gwen reached out to them, she pretty much said, like, the grandmother said, yeah, we can meet you, whenever you're ready, or on our terms. Or it was kind of given the standpoint, like, we'll meet you for convenience sake because you're our bloodline, not because we really want to get to know you, wonder how the first 18 years of your life has went. What do you want to know about your father, that we could kind of bridge that emptiness in you the best we know how. It was pretty much like, yeah, we could meet you, if you want. Like, it was pretty much, Gwen felt it was cold. And Bronwyn is kind of feeling like, okay, well, maybe the approach of how she raised her daughter, to not ever mention her father to her, or not ever mention what he was, who he was, how the relationship was. Bronwyn kind of feels like maybe she made the mistake because that didn't give her daughter a choice. Bronwyn made that choice for her. And I think that that was a very strong element that a lot of mothers who are in this situation, whether the man is living or not, a lot of women do this, where they feel like, well, if he has not been here, then you surely can't miss that. And that is the biggest misconception that a lot of single parents have. Absolutely, they're going to miss the parent that was never there. They're going to be curious about the parent that was never there. They're going to want to figure out what in me is what's in them. And the only way they can do that is by knowing them. And since this man has passed, and it's unfortunate that the grandparents would shame on them, because it's unfortunate that y'all have a grandchild, despite how it came about, that she has questions and your son is not alive to be able to fill that void. So the best thing that she could do, since y'all are living, is to get that information from you. Unless y'all didn't have it to begin with, then that's the only thing I can think of why that conversation would be so cold. But that was horrible. I felt for her in that moment. I really did. I felt for her because to not have that part of you that you've always been yearning for, that your mother has kept away from you, and now your grandparents are acting crazy because they want to, be surface with you. I can understand her pain. I can. And that is so unfortunate. And I'm praying that, she does get some sense of closure, knowing who her father was and knowing what he could have been to her. Because that to me broke my heart when I saw that little girl, and hearing Bronwyn saying that she probably made the mistake of not really giving her at least the elements of what he was when they were together. Then, I really feel for her. How did you feel about that scene, Mrs. Best?
Yeah, I can't fault Bronwyn. She had her so young, and the family did her horribly, and so did the father. So I can understand it. But at the same time, when you choose to have a child with someone, if it doesn't work out, if they leave, if they pass on, you still have a responsibility to the child to give them some type of memory of their parent. Try not to show the person in the negative light if possible. They'll figure it out. Kids aren't dumb. If someone wasn't there or was bad, like kids understand that, but they're still gonna want to know. But I felt for her daughter. I hope she seeks some counseling, and I don't think she should go around the grandparents. This girl is off to college, and you've made not one effort, and you would think they would want to connect with her as a way to feel closer to their son. That's the only other living piece of their child on earth aside from them. So it's weird. It's very weird. But
I agree, and that's why I said that religion is something else, y'all. It really is. Like you to be in the mindset that you have a child out there, or you have a grandchild out there that you have not seen or heard. You knew they were out there. You knew that that lady didn't, give it up for adoption or award it. Like that that baby is out there, and even with because Brahma didn't even know the man had passed away until she saw it on social media. So even that was kind of like, well, damn, y'all wasn't even gonna let her go to the funeral. Like that's crazy to me. It's because Lisa was at the funeral, so it was like, oh wow, terrible, terrible, terrible. It really does. Like that's where I feel you on this one. It really does. Like it's doing more. Sometimes religion can do more hurt than good. It really can because it puts you in a psychological mind space that you have to abide by these certain rules and be unhealthy in your habits and think that that's a way to go about life. And it's like, oh my god, like I just couldn't imagine. I just couldn't imagine. So I feel for the little girl. Anything else you want to add, Mrs. Best, before we move on?
no.
All right. So Whitney and her husband are dropping their daughter off to soccer practice. And by the way, Justin, continue to wear hats. Continue to wear hats because actually, I'm telling you, I can see the draw. I really can. Me and Whitney the same. We attracted to the same kind of men. I can see the draw now. Now that he has a hat on, but um, they drop the baby off, and Whitney gets a call from a blogger named Adam, and we're all wondering because I know a couple of other bloggers like, was this Up and Adam? And they didn't want to put that on there. If that was Up and Adam, shout out to him because I do watch his podcast and reviews. Um, Pretty much they were doing some investigations, and they contacted the blogger who put the original story out on Whitney's dealing with Alibaba and that whole debacle. And the blogger said they can't give him who it was. So he began asking questions and describing basically each one of the ladies' professions to see who it could be. And he mentioned a question of, well, does this person have a alcohol line? And the blogger said yes. And there's only one person on this cast who has an alcohol line, and that's Lisa. So Whitney's like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe this information. I can't believe that it could be Lisa. Like I need to confront this. And I'm just looking at Whitney like, oh my God, Whitney. I wish Whitney had real friends. I really do. Like the real ones that would tell her this is not worth pursuing. This is not worth any drama. If you know how e-commerce works, why give this any power? Because this is going to give credibility to that blog now that you're surfing for the information, regardless if Lisa was the one to put it out or not. This gives credibility to what that blog is saying. I hope you realize that, Whitney. Do you think Whitney realizes that, Mrs. Best?
It doesn't give the blogger credibility because it doesn't really prove anything, but it does. She didn't, when speaking to this man about it, she did not deny anything. It's more like she's just trying to find who put the information out there from the cast. I don't know. The whole scene to me felt personally a little disingenuous, a little bit fake. I don't trust much that comes from Whitney, and I don't like how she's going to the end of times, it seems, to defend herself, contacting people. But then when she is the one who is doing this to someone else, you know,
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't seem to care. Now she's on the receiving end and is panicking. So I just keep thinking of Whitney from seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I don't feel sorry for her. I just don't.
Me either. I couldn't find a fuck to give about Whitney in this situation. But the reason why I say it gives credibility to because the thing about it is, one, you're right. She's not denying this. She's not denying this at all. She's saying that, she's explaining business etiquette, but at the same time, you don't need to explain this. We under as the viewing audience, most of us understand this. So the fact that you're giving this so much energy, that's why I'm saying it's giving whoever wrote the article, it must be true because you're not denying it, and then you're going really hard to figure out who put it out there when I really wouldn't give a fuck. I'd be like, y'all know how this works. I ain't got to explain this. We have the same vendor. Point blank period. Moving on. That's how I would feel. But me and Whitney, two different people. Whitney has to have the emotions and the dramatics to keep her spot on this show because, as Mary put it out there, a lot of them need the show to sustain lifestyle. She said it about Heather. She said it about a couple other people. They need the show. And I kind of
Yeah,
agree with that.
they do. Without it,
Mhm.
no shade. We don't care. That's why I'm kind of surprised. I'm like, it's good for her to have a jewelry brand, but who's buying this brand that doesn't watch Bravo television?
I'm just saying,
That's what I
hey,
want.
I'm just saying, I feel like, season, as I said, y'all, season five checks are different than season one checks. Season five check go up about a good 100,000. So they're able to live off this check
These
realistically.
women they're getting paid well, but they're not getting paid that much. They had just put out a report recently and they keep getting put out. And I'm actually surprised with Salt Lake, they're the lowest paid housewives of all the franchises. I was surprised in season one, they weren't getting like nothing. They were getting like what you get for playing Survivor checks. So I do agree with you that these women need the show much more than other housewife franchises because they weren't as well off as Housewives in New York or Beverly Hills or Miami. But at the same time, they have something. So I don't know. I think they need to mix up this cast and your idea of having people like Bronwyn for upscale mixed in with people like Monica would be like a good mix.
Absolutely.
But this cast, I can't, Whitney has to go. I'm tired of it.
Because we know, at least my alleged opinion is that Monica is coming back next season. They are like, I already know. They said she was supposed to come back in some capacity this season, but somebody, I think it was like Heather or Lisa, allegedly has shut it down, saying they won't film with her. We don't need y'all to film with her. Invite Mary, Bronwyn, and Angie, and we got to sing with Monica. That's all we need. That's all we need. So that was it pretty much with Whitney's scene. So we go over to Heather. Heather invites Mary, Brittany, and Lisa on a zipline event. And they're getting in a Can-Am, and Mary had me cracking up the entire time. Hi, Jim Bunny. Happy Saturday, love. We appreciate you being here. But Mary had me cracking up the entire time because as soon as they got in that Can-Am and started going, and that mud got on Heather's lip. That mud stayed on Heather's lip the entire rest of this scene. She didn't wipe it off, and I said, "Heather, you nasty." And then you was eating on top of that. It's like, ugh. That's why I can't get with Heather, y'all. I can't get with Heather at all. But they're going zip line. Everyone does it, and once again, it's good to see Mary participate with the ladies. It really is. There was definitely a joy and fun. And they sit down. Heather has a table, some chairs. Brittany in her car had the food, and Mary was like, "So y'all just pull food out of a trunk just randomly and had it available and stuff." Now, because they're in Salt Lake City, it's cold there, so I'm sure the food was okay. I really do feel like the food was okay. And it was funny in Mary's confession. They asked her, "So Mary, you don't tailgate?" And Mary said, "What is tailgate?" And she goes, "Is that like barbecue? We cook our ribs and stuff." And I was hollering at that scene. I said, "No, Mary, that's a cookout. Tailgate is when you show up, you pull your grill out, and it is barbecuing if you do it the right way. The way I know tailgating to go. I can remember many times being at Oakland Coliseum on A's game, we tailgating, barbecuing out there. I don't know if you did that, Mrs. Best in the Bay, when you were a kid, but
Um, Even though I'm from Oakland, I am a Giants fan, so I didn't go to too many A's games unless they were playing the Giants. But I did go to a lot of tailgates. But unfortunately, the A's and the Raiders is gone.
I
So next time that
know.
happens, they don't let us.
I would actually love. I wish I knew people who did that. I don't know anybody who tailgates anymore. I think that was something our parents did. I know they still do it. Like I know people still tailgate, but like it hits differently as adults. I don't know very many people who still do that. Like I would love to go to a tailgate. I'm sure there's like events. I'm gonna look that up because that actually would be fun to do. But they sit down and um Heather gives Brittany this unicorn glassware and saying that since you and Jared had your hard breakup, this is something that will be a gift of endearment. And Brittany was, and so Lisa, I think it was Lisa who asked, "Well, what happened? You guys actually broke up?" And Brittany said, "Well, I actually don't want to talk about it, especially with you, Lisa, because you are the cause of everything that has happened." And Lisa was taken back, like, "Excuse me, like, what did I do?" And she goes, "Well, with the text messages and everything." And so Brittany explains to us that when they left the drag queen event, that Lisa took her phone and was sending Jared text messages. And Brittany said that in the moment, it felt like Lisa was helping to bring, something out of it. But in the long run, it actually hurt Jared Osmond's feelings. And I'm like, really, Brittany? Really? That is typical. I'm telling you, turn it on the woman. Now, was Lisa stepping out of bounds? Yes, but you allowed it to happen. You should have known in that moment that it was wrong, and she shouldn't have did it, and maybe minded her business at that point. But now that the seal has been put on the envelope, now you want to get mad at her because the outcome wasn't what you wanted to be, which was to be with this man. So don't get mad at Lisa. No, don't get mad at her at
I
all.
know this is a far stretch, but I feel like she might have done something like this to her kids, and that could be why they don't want to deal with her as it relates to the split
Mm.
with her and her husband. Because if you'll do that, a lot of times the way people are with their friends is how they really do be. Like, even when not
Yes.
with their friends. So I feel like if she's comfortable to do that around people that she's just now meeting on TV, then imagine what she's like as a mom with no cameras rolling while she's going crazy because she's about to lose her marriage to this man that she's been obsessed with for years. So
Right.
I don't trust anything that comes out of Brittany's mouth after that. I don't even like Lisa, but I was glad that Lisa stood up to Brittany's ass because Brittany's out of her mind. Something is
Yeah,
wrong. She needs to be evaluated.
because Lisa said, "Look, don't get mad at me because he misled you into thinking you had more than what you really had and stuff, calling you your best friend." And the whole time that Lisa was going off on Brittany, Mary was back there just hollering because that would have been me. I'm sorry. Mary was laughing so hard. Mary was like, "Look, this girl is just crazy over this man." And Lisa was all like, "Yes, and don't get mad at me because I was trying to look out for you." And Paris like, "Why do we keep talking about this? Like, leave us out of this." And Brittany said, "I will 100% leave you out of it." She said, "Good." And Lisa and Heather and Lisa raised their hand and said, "Leave us out of it too." And she go gladly because Mary said, "Ain't nobody got time for that." And when Mary said that, I fucking hollered. I was like, I was not ready. I was not ready for it at all. So they get off that conversation, and Heather brings up that Mary had saw Georgia. And she goes, "Yeah, I did see Georgia." And they were like, "Well, Lisa and Brittany, wait, well, how did you see Georgia? Where did you see Georgia? Like, how did that happen like that?" I was like, "Well, damn. Like, she can't just run into Georgia. Like, the fuck? Y'all in Utah. That ain't that damn big." So Mary said the wind just blew her to me, and I received it. And I laughed at that too because I said, "Well, damn, man." But I understand the game that Mary is playing with him because Mary did not want to originally say that she was with Angie because Lisa is sitting there and she don't trust Heather. So it was like she just kept saying the wind blow, and Heather knew. So Heather let it out that it was a hip hop class, or no, not hip. She said dance class, and then, "Well, what kind of dance was it?" And Lisa said, "Was it hip hop?" And Mary said, "Yeah, it was hip hop." She goes, "Oh, so you met Georgia at a hip hop class? Oh, okay. That's why is there so many secrets?" And it was like, how the fuck is that a secret? Y'all supposed to know everything that Mary does. That was crazy as hell to me. I'm sorry. I was looking at them like, how is that a secret? Just because she went to a hip hop class and happened to run into Georgia at the damn hip hop class. And so Mary finally let it out the bag that she went with Angie. And Lisa goes, "Oh, I haven't even talked to Angie." And Mary said, "Why not?" And she goes, well, she had said, several things, and I just don't think we're in a good place. And she goes, well, why don't you call her and ask her? And and Lisa was trying not to throw Heather under the bus, but Heather was going to do that on her own. Heather was like, well, I had told you know Lisa about things that Angie has said. And Mary said, well, why are you? So it seems like you just champion Lisa. She goes, well, I am in this situation. And Mary said, but you've known Angie since high school. And Heather said, well, Mary, yeah, just stuttered around. And I said, there you go, Mary, get her, just get her. And she goes, okay, but you don't think that you be in the middle of this, is causing a bigger friction than what it needs to be? And Mary Confessional said Heather is always in the middle of some mess. Always. It doesn't matter what she does. And she sits there and stirs the pot and then sits back and let it all fester while she sit back and, just lets and watches it all unfold. Which is exactly what Heather does. And I said, thank you, Mary. Oh my God, thank you. Because finally someone is calling Heather out. Heather still with that mud on her lip was all like, I love Angie, but I didn't like what she said and everything. And Mary's like, Heather, you lie too much for me. You lie too much for me. And Heather was like, I lied. She goes, yeah, you lied about the black eye. And I'm so glad Mary brought that up because y'all, if y'all don't go back and watch last season, I was pissed at Heather for that. And I said Bravo should not bring her back because she did that. Because she was blaming production. She was blaming everybody else but the person who did it. So, oh, I'm not even. I ain't reading the comments. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm doing. Y'all is killing me. Jim Bunny and Naya, y'all are killing me with this. Not the menopause division, Naya. Oh God, where was I? And then also Mary calls out Heather being against body positivity. Now, it was funny because what came to my mind when when Mary said that is y'all remember when Heather had the Gucci corset, the fake Gucci corset, and when they asked Mary about it, Mary said that they don't think that Gucci actually makes a size 15, 16 or whatever Heather's size was. And everyone came down on Mary, and then it came out that it actually wasn't their product. Gucci actually made a statement defending Mary, saying we don't make that size. And so now that Heather's on Ozempic, it's now about being skinny and everything. And Mary called that out. And I said, thank you, Mary. See, one thing about Mary, Mary is astute as hell, and she gonna call out the real. And I was so happy that ending scene. I was literally clapping and jumping up and down for Mary because Mary hit Heather where it hurt, and I'm so glad she did it. And Mary said, I'm not doing this to hurt your feelings. And Heather said, oh, I know you're not. I said, yeah, she's not because she's telling the truth. That's why she did not hurt your feelings, because if she did hurt your feelings, then you would be calling her a lie. And as I said, Mary could have easy about the Gucci thing and how they came out and defended Mary. Y'all keep getting Mary messed up, and Mary coming back at y'all. So, Mrs. Best, how did you feel about that scene with Mary?
Well, you got it mixed up because Gucci actually came out and Heather had reposted them in their size chart. They do make her size. They do make her size, but at the same time, they defended Mary also because in certain
I was going to say that's the one I saw. I see the one
in
that defended
certain areas and countries, depending on the location, you're not going to find like an XL of Gucci. Like you're just not. But they do make the size regardless. Mary had a point, in my opinion, with Heather. Like season 1, you came on body positivity, be your own person. There's life after Mormonism and all this other crap. Now she seems just interested in doing whatever she can do to stay relevant on this show. It seems like she has control of the producers. She has told lie after lie and gotten away with it, and none of the other women are going to call it out. I think Heather is just as bad as Jen Shaw, with the exception of the fraud. I think that she does things that could be viewed as fraudulent. I just don't think that she does them in a way that makes it to where she's breaking the law as Jen Shaw did. I don't care for Heather. She makes good points at times, but I think a lot of what she says and does is because she knows that it will look good. I don't think any of us actually have gotten to experience or know the real Heather. And I'm tired of her, but I'm glad Mary clocked in. I'm glad that she clocked in. And she did it in a way that people can't be like, oh, she's a bully. You can't say that she was a bully. She was in a conversation with other people who were getting in a place where they wanted to gang up on her, but she stayed calm. She defended herself. She spoke and called Heather out for things that everybody should have called her out for.
I think the reason why the cast doesn't call Heather out is because Heather's going to do this abrasive, white woman syndrome. And I feel like for Mary, that doesn't phase her. It just doesn't.
If you're going to live in Utah as a Black woman, especially one with money, which will confuse a lot of these prejudiced people that's out there,
Yep.
you can't live there and be easily phased by people who behave like Heather. So I'm glad somebody called Heather out. I'm glad.
Mary is clear-headed this season. Mary sees I think Mary taking a step back from the show, coming back into it, she now sees everybody for what they are. And that's why I feel like Mary's going to always be the MVP, regardless, because as we said, and I'm going to keep championing this, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City began because of Mary. So regardless
of picked up cameras to film her divorce from Robert Sr.
You said she also came out and said that was a lie too. She said there is no divorce.
That was a lie?
She said there is no divorce. She was on Watch What Happens Live and said that they were in a great place. There is no divorce happening.
I don't buy it. Because where there's smoke, there's fire. There may not be a divorce no more, but I don't trust that relationship. But that's her grandpa, so it's destined to fail. Or she playing the long game.
I think she's playing the long game. I do. I think she's playing the long game because it works for her. She gets everything that she needs. And it cracks me up when people are like, well, she's just living off people from her church. Y'all, that is not how that works. There's no way possible that a church can provide that kind of lifestyle. It can't. There's no way. There's no way. So y'all can act like that all y'all want to, but this lady is playing the long game. Mary knows what she's doing. She's not stupid. She knows what she's doing. They just keep getting richer and richer. And like I said, it's kind of like the Hilton family money. That money's never going to run out. It's not. It's never going to run out. And she's going after the people who's stealing the money from her. So I'm like, oh, Mary got a lot going on. That's what need to be on the show is the people she's suing, allegedly. I need to see that on the show if we can. Just not all of it because I know legally you can't, but just like a little snippet. I just need to know. But, she is playing the long game. She really is. And I feel like even on this show, she's playing the long game because she knows who to go after. And I know Heather going to process this with that mud on her lip and just say, damn, Mary just called me out. Because I know next episode, she's going to confront Mary and I bet she's going to look just as stupid as she did in this scene with that mud on her lip. Heather, I don't know why you didn't go get you a Lysol wipe and wipe that shit off. But, that's neither here nor there, y'all, because she kept it on her face eating shit. Just nasty. But that was Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Great episode. The ladies are clocked in. This is a really good, stellar episode. All I know is Beverly Hills better bring it because Potomac show didn't bring it. And we still lost and confused. It's okay. Like, Potomac is okay.
Potomac hasn't brought it in multiple seasons. They've been arguing over the same thing for about 4 seasons. So, come on, switch it up. Get rid of some people.
So Beverly Hills better give. Atlanta better give like it did season 1 and 2.
I don't think it will.
I don't think it will either.
They gotta half the cast is ratchet and BBL'd out, and the other half of them don't seem like the type to be able to mingle. It's gonna be too much. They need to let it go.
Naya.
Caveman like mud. Okay. Why didn't Heather grab a wipe or something or use somewhere to wipe that stuff off of her face?
I just looked at Heather and I was like, so you just go continue to have this mud on your face.
But she's gonna use it at the reunion watch. Heather's gonna be like, yeah, and that's just how I am. I'm that type of girl. I don't mind a little mud watch. That's exactly.
I don't know. The reunion, it better be Lisa and Mary sitting next to Andy. I'm calling it out now. Bravo in that call center. Mary better be sitting next to Andy and Lisa better be sitting next to Andy at this reunion. That's all I know. Because if Heather ass is sitting next to Andy, I know something. If Heather's sitting next to Andy, this coming up season, this reunion. So we'll see what happens. I'm praying that, because I'm telling you, I'm gonna be mad. I might not recover it. I'm gonna recap the reunion. Y'all. I'm just playing with y'all. But no, I'm just saying something better happen. But that was it, y'all. That was Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I'm gonna get one up out of here. My next recap will be, I don't have Love and Marriage Detroit. They're on hiatus. Oh shit. Well, Real Housewives of Potomac. Me and Mrs. Best will be here Sunday night to cover both Real Housewives of Potomac and on her channel, Queen's Court. So make sure you click the link in my description box. Subscribe to her channel, especially if you want to start looking at Queen's Court. She does a great description of the show. I love it. And make sure you come back to me for Real Housewives of Potomac, because we're going to go in. So I will see you guys on my next recap. Mrs. Best, thank you for being here. You guys have a great rest of your Saturday. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.